Imagine having to mill, miter, and grain match 600 board feet of white oak. Well, that's exactly what we're doing. All of this white oak is being fabricated for our Comm Ave project. We have 3 unique staircases that we're working on, and we're gonna get into some of the details that we're doing here in the shop in preparation for install, and some of the things that we've taken into consideration to make install easier. Ken, this is our first staircase, and what I call is the back of house staircase. This is from the common hallway up to their living level. Now, back of house because they actually have an elevator that is direct access. However, we didn't want to just build a plain staircase and have it be kind of a sore thumb in that project. So walk me through what we came up with.
So what we have here, we're going to miter the tread and the riser together to give it a seamless kind of waterfalled look. And throughout the house, we do have a shadow gap detail in the baseboard, which we then matched into the riser where it meets the tread on every step, all the way down through the winder.
Stepping back, you're looking at each step as an individual block of oak. We talk about this being the back of house staircase. We actually bring this detail into the next staircase as well, right?
We do. So going from the second level to the third level, we have a few landings, and we carried that same thought process through where, we make each step look like it is just a giant slab of wood right before it turns into our floating stairs.
It's a landing, but it actually winds. So you have a square landing, one winder, we're continuing that shadow gap all the way around, and this leads us into our floating staircase. This staircase will actually have 4-inch white oak treads that are connected to our plaster wall out to an outboard stringer. What I mean by float is there's actually no riser. That 4-inch tread allows us to have a small space in between each of the steps. So you have this mocked up here. Kind of walk us through where we are today and how we got there. I think one really important note to talk about is that we considered using solid, correct?
We did have a difficult time sourcing something that large. They are 4 inches thick and 11 inches deep.
I think you had a couple phone calls where people laughed at us.
Yeah, sourcing white oak that large was definitely difficult. We did think about laminating it, basically stacking it up, but we would end up with too many seams on that vertical face. Not an ideal solution there. So what we did was we decided to miter the front of each piece so that the face and the tread were wrapped.
So this is actually the same board.
It is.
While you're walking up the stairs, the relationship you're making is the face of this tread and the top of this tread having a continuous, grain, which ultimately is going to give you the impression that this is solid oak.
It will.
Now that's 4 inches thick. We still have a gap in the middle. How are we handling that?
So we're actually creating a Baltic birch core, as well as having some steel brackets and some rubber gaskets in there to build up to our full 4 inches.
What's nice about the Baltic birch is that it's void free. And that's something that was really important to us. We wanted a really quality core. Walk me through how we're gonna do the install, because I'm thinking you're gonna have a 4-inch tread, slip it over the steel on the left, the steel on the right. You can't really do that easily.
So we're doing as much fabrication in the shop as we can, opposed to doing it on site in the field. So the treads are gonna be a full 11 inches deep. Now, as you can see here, these aren't 11 inches. That is done purposefully. So here's a piece here that is already glued up, ready to go.
So this is miter folded. This is a pretty common detail, and you guys do this with tape. We've shared this process a lot.
So here we have one that's already been miter folded, glued, taped up, just about ready to go. So what we're doing here, there's a support back here. That's temporary. We'll knock that out when we get on site. It is just so that this doesn't end up collapsing and damaging the miter in transport and handling it in the shop and in the field.
And I'm gonna guess this is number 2.
That's number 2. So essentially we'll have our core built up onto our steel brackets that are already in either side of this tread.
This is all filled with Baltic birch. The reason it's not in here now is because these were just glued, and that gets installed after.
Yep, and that'll actually get installed before the treads do. That'll get mounted directly to the steel tongues that are sticking off each side of our stringer.
So you're actually going to build almost like a sub tread first.
Yeah, exactly.
And then these are, kind of the quote unquote veneer of the tread.
Yep.
Okay.
So then once we have that core already assembled and ready to go, we'll pop out these blocks here and essentially just take them, slip it around either side, and glue it up.
Now, what's nice is obviously we're finishing the entire floor in the field, so we can sand this flat. But how are we making this connection to make sure that this does not open up? Because
so we're gonna use a combination of dominoes as well as lamello tenso clips.
So the tenso clip is the snap one.
Yep.
And the domino is obviously giving you that wood tenon connection.
Yep.
And at that time, are you gonna need to clamp this at all?
We will.
So this will be clamped all the way up, and you'll let this dry, a full glue, and then this will get sanded and ready for finish.
Yep.
So this brings us up to our living level, and then we have one more staircase.
Yep.
And this staircase leads up to a roof deck, a really epic roof deck at that. Porcelain pavers, fire pit, outdoor kitchen. You'll have views of the mall on Comm Ave. You'll be able to see the city. Just a really great space, and we have this one staircase that leads up to it, so we need to make that equally as cool. So we're working with Rich Costa at Costa Fabrication, and we are building a steel monostringer staircase. I'm gonna correct that, a stainless steel monostringer. And I'm not going to claim that we're the first to do it, but I haven't seen a stainless steel monostringer, especially a raw brushed finish one. And what makes the brush finish really complicated is the fact that fabrication, and then when you're welding it and you're working it and you're cutting it, there's discoloration, there's the opportunity for that brush finish to go away. So he's spending a lot of time to make sure that that brush is maintains. He's being really methodical in the way he fabricates and cuts this, because at the end of the day, anything that is exposed needs to then be hand brushed back to the finish that we're going for. Traditionally on a monostringer, you're gonna see these stanchions, and you have the tube that goes from floor to floor, and then stanchions coming off the tube with a flat plate that your tread bolts to. We all kind of came up with the idea of, what if we made this look as though these oak treads from the monostringer look as though they're floating with just the back corner touching that steel. And that's exactly what we've done, and the plate has been, built in a way where, number one, it needs to support the weight of people walking up and down the stairs. We're also gonna have glass attached to the sides of these treads. So there's a lot weighing on the way this is designed for ultimately, just that extra special kind of cool touch. But these aren't the treads, but these are gonna be very similar. Walk us through the monostringer treads.
Sure, now over here, we have all the pieces for the monostringer. This stack here would be the treads. These are just the tops. The bottoms are going to be fabricated secondly. We'll get.
So you said these are the tops. These are the full depth.
They are.
So we're not doing these the same way.
We're doing this one a little bit different,
okay.
Because of the way that core is built up. Now over here, I do have a mock-up ready to show you. This step is going to be the same 4 inches, about 10 inches deep on this set. We're doing the same miter wrapped reveal, so you can see all the lines here carrying through. The way that the core is built over that full length plate, we can essentially build this in a U shape, if you would. The ends of this tread will be mitered. Yep. Both sides.
So essentially you're talking vertical, horizontal, vertical, and that's your U shape.
And that's what these pieces would be here. So we'll have a U-shaped, box, if you would.
And this will drop down over our sub tread.
Yep. And from there, we have a bottom that will match and just mate into the bottom, and that will be our glue up on site for that one.
Bottom piece is mitered just like the top is.
Correct.
But that's just getting applied in the field, so you can kind of, I'm guessing, so you can scribe around that monostring in the very back of it, right?
Right, and then that way it allows us to secure the tread to the core without having any visual fasteners from the top or the bottom.
Which is key, because anytime we're filling holes and then putting a finish on it, we run the risk of it not matching.
Correct.
This is, grain matched from the top into this drop, and then same thing on this side. So no matter which side of the staircase you're looking at, you're getting that visual appearance of being solid oak.
Correct.
Now, the last detail, and this is something that we're still kind of design building, but our connection to our glass and what that looks like. Say if I'm standing on the outside of the monostringer, what's the relationship between these oak treads and the glass handrails going up the side?
Yeah, so you might notice that this here runs quite a bit longer, and then same on the other side. The reason for that is not only is it miter wrapped on the face and on the backside, it's also miter wrapped on the edge. Both edges will carry across. We're gonna do all of that in shop before we get to the field. We're gonna take that full length tread and we'll cut about 1 inch off of each side.
Okay.
What that will do is it'll open up each end of our center tread that goes in between the two glass.
So you're essentially cutting, from center point out to your final width for your stair. And now you have a U shape with no ends on it.
Correct.
And then these fabricated ends that you've miter wrapped are just kind of auxiliary at this point.
Yep.
Is that right?
So what those will do is the way that our glass is going to mount to the edge of each tread, and then we're gonna cap it and cover the standoffs with the cutoff from this tread. So when you're looking straight on at that staircase, that tread runs all the way through and it looks like the glass just cuts through in the middle.
And it's great because these homeowners have been great with, you know, the level of detail that they're expecting and that they want, and have really allowed us to take what we're doing to a level that not only are they going to be excited about, but that we're excited about. So guys, make sure you stay tuned every week. We're going to have another episode on this staircase when we get back on site and we're doing the install. You guys are going to actually hop on site with the carpenters in the field and work alongside them. But this is going to be a really killer install. We'll make sure we get some footage of Rich fabricating that stainless steel monostringer. Hopefully get some footage of it being craned up to the roof so we can carry it down. I hear it's like 800 pounds or something like that. But as always, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, stay tuned every Tuesday for a new episode of the Design Build Repeat Show. I'm at NS Builders.
And I'm at Ken Decost.
See you next time.